Welcome to Football Scientific. I'm Aaron Sauter, writer for Last Word on Sports. I cover the Buffalo Bills for Last Word on Sports. Also, I'm writer for CFL of.com. I cover the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the CFL. Also, I write for of.the.com. I cover Orlando Storm of the UFL coming up in the spring. Today we're just going to do a quick rundown of the CFL Week 21 action to end the CFL regular season. The playoffs setup is established. It's ready to go. Playoffs start this week. The season ended last weekend. The Tiger Cats clinched the East Division, which is huge. That was the big goal for them. Okay, so that was huge. Tonight we have the Washington Commanders against the Kansas City Chiefs. I predict Washington will upset the Chiefs. We'll see if that happens. I am joined right now by my guest host, Tyler the Tiger. Tyler the Tiger here. So what are we doing today? We're going to go through all the CFL games from the weekend and then talk about the playoffs a little bit. Oh, okay. Well, and it's odds and ends, probably, right? Yeah, probably it's odds and ends. That's right. All right, that's pretty good. All right, let's break it down. All right, let's break it down. So first, CFL games this weekend. The last regular season weekend. First, the big one, Ottawa Red Blacks at Hamilton Tiger Cats. Tiger Cats need to win this game to clinch the East Division and to bye in the first round of the playoffs. Tyree Adams started for Ottawa Red Blacks, and then Matt Schultz came in and played relief for him. Overall, Ottawa threw for 197 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 6 interceptions. Okay, Matt Schultz had 4 of those interceptions and no touchdowns. Tyree Adams had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. That's disastrous. That's kind of summing up Ottawa's season, you know. 109 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, no fumbles. William Stanback had 58 yards rushing. Matt Schultz had 6 yards rushing and a touchdown, but he also threw 6 interceptions. Hamilton Tiger Cats, Bo Levi Mitchell came out and threw for 264 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Good, clean game. The Tiger Cats ran for 118 rushing yards, 0 touchdowns and a fumble. Greg Bell had 94 yards, which is huge. Whenever it comes close to 100 yards, they win the game, and they won this one. Spoiler alert. Tim White had 2 touchdown catches, had a big game. And then Julian Hauser and Philip Assign, the defensive line, helped produce 4 sacks against Ottawa. So that's a huge game for the defensive line, pressuring the quarterback and getting some sacks. Tiger Cats win the game 35-15. They go 11-7 on the season, and they clinch the top spot in the East Division. Boom, Calgary Stampeders, 11 going to Edmonton Elks. They need to win this game to make sure they can stay in the West for the playoffs and not have to go across to the East Division. Okay, so they really need to win this game. Edmonton's out of playoffs. Vernon Adams Jr. came in, threw for 285 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So he didn't kill him, but he didn't really save him either. They ran for 108 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, no fumbles. Dedrick Mills had 69 rushing yards. Quincy Vaughn, their backup quarterback, had 6 yards and a touchdown. They had 3 sacks. Pretty good game by Calgary. Edmonton Elks, Cody Fajardo threw for 272 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That term was going to kill you. Notice I didn't turn the ball over at all. 37 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 fumble rushing. Cody Fajardo had 24 rushing yards out of that 37. So it was mainly the quarterback. They had 3 quarterback sacks. Overall, Calgary won. They dominated the ground game, and they won the game. They won 20-10, and they clinch a home game, I believe, for the first round of the Western Division playoffs. I guess you call it West Division semifinals. Montreal Alouettes traveled to Winnipeg. At this time, Montreal had nothing to gain from this game because Hamilton already clinched the division. So I think they started resting players. They rested some players. Winnipeg needed to win just to give themselves a chance. If BC, lost, then Winnipeg could have a chance to stay on the western side and travel to Calgary for the playoffs rather than going to Montreal. No crossover team has ever made it to the Grey Cup. Mental note. So what happened here? Well, McLeod Bethel Thompson got the start for Montreal. He threw for 182 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. They ran for 64 rushing yards. 31 of that was from Stevie Scott III, and the other was Tyon Brown. They both had 31 yards rushing. Montreal had 3 quarterback sacks. Sean Oakman and Joshua Archin they got those sacks. Okay, pretty good game. Winnipeg came in. They started Tevin Wilson at quarterback. He did for 92 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, and a fumble. 92 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. 177 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble. Tevin Wilson had a lot of the yards for Winnipeg in this one. Chris Strubler got hurt in this game, so he did not finish the game, and that's big for the first round playoffs. They're not going to have him. He's their third down specialist. Not going to have him going to Montreal. Spoiler alert. Winnipeg did have 2 sacks in that game. Winnipeg won the game 19-10, but they're still going to the crossover. Okay. BC Lions at Saskatchewan Roughriders. BC needed to win this to stay in the West and send Winnipeg to the East. In the crossover, BC came in 368 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception from Nathan Rourke. Really good game, really solid game. They ran for 38 rushing yards, 0 touchdowns. Not overwhelmingly good. James Butler had 28 rushing yards. They had 1 quarterback sack. Saskatchewan Roughriders, they played Jake Mayer at quarterback. For the most part, Trevor Harris played a little bit. He went 10 for 11. But Jake Mayer had the majority of the passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. They did run the ball for 125 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a fumble, which is usually enough to win the game. But Jack Cohn scored the 2 touchdowns. So it wasn't like a running back took over the game. AJ didn't think he even played. They had 2 sacks. What happens in this game? Well, Saskatchewan was leading most of the way, but then at the very end, BC, who needed to win this game, Saskatchewan really didn't. BC needed to win this game so they could host a playoff matchup. They won 27-21. So that's the action from this weekend. A few odds and ends wise with roster movements. Ottawa Redblacks, they added to their future active roster American wide receiver Sam Schnee, American defensive line Jesse Evans, American linebacker Jamie Petway, American wide receiver Robert Lewis, all to their future active roster, I guess, for next year. They released national defensive back Vim Ambrose, I guess. Okay. Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they signed national wide receiver Abdul Kami Gassan to the practice roster. Montreal Alouettes, they moved national offensive line Jesse Gilby to their single-game injury list, and they signed national offensive lineman Landon Rice to replace him. Okay, so they had to pick up someone to replace him, and they did. Toronto Argonauts signed American wide receiver Dorian Arland to a future active roster spot, and signed American defensive line Greg Rains to a future active roster spot. Okay, so they're making some moves. Teams whose seasons are done starting to make some moves for the future rosters. That's pretty cool. Okay, playoff breakdown in the West Division. Playoffs start this week. In the West Division, the bye week goes to Saskatchewan Roughriders, and they'll host the Western Division Finals. But this week we have the BC Lions. Number 3 BC Lions traveling to Calgary, 11-7 versus 11-7. BC has been the team that's beaten Calgary. Calgary has beaten the top teams. Okay, but BC has beaten Calgary, so this is a good matchup. I predict Nathan Rourke will power the BC Lions to a win, and they'll face Saskatchewan Roughriders. My prediction is BC will be powered to a win by Nathan Rourke. Vernon Adams Jr. will probably throw an interception or 2. And we'll see BC move on to the Western Division Final. In the East Division, number 1 is the Hamilton Tiger-Cats. They get the bye week for the first round of playoffs. They're 11-7. So that leaves the Montreal Alouettes to host the number 3 Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So Winnipeg will be going to Montreal. Overall, pretty tough matchup for both teams. But I predict Montreal is going to win this game. Better quarterback play, too many turnovers. They played this week, but they didn't really play their starters. And I mentioned I thought Winnipeg turns the ball over too much to beat Montreal, and I still stand by that. Okay, the hope they have is Brady Oliveira goes off for a big day. If he does that, they might win. But Montreal, I believe, will win that game. Okay, IFL Arizona Rattlers re-signed kicker Nick Belcher And wide receiver Arlen Bruce. And Tulsa Oilers added defensive back Eugene Ford. And then in the NFL, we had some injuries yesterday. I mean, Monday Night Football is tonight, but I'm not doing an NFL review right now. I'm just doing the CFL. But here's some injuries. Buffalo Bills defensive tackle Ed Oliver is injured once again. He tore his biceps. They said he'd be out indefinitely. He's getting surgery, but he might be back for the playoffs. New York Giants had a major loss. Running back Cam Scatterbo, ankle injury, out. He got carted off. He might be done. He might be done for the year. And he was huge for them. He was really producing some good runs. Chicago Bears wide receiver Luther Burden III had a concussion against Baltimore. So he'll probably be out for at least a week, probably up 2 weeks or whatever. Cleveland Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett had 5 sacks versus New England, so they lost, but he did have a big game. And New Orleans Saints quarterback Spencer Rattler got benched for rookie quarterback Tyler Shook. So we got to see Tyler Shook for the first time in New Orleans, and we'll see what happens there with Spencer Rattler. So that's our episode for today. This quick CFL breakdown. We get the playoffs ready to go this week. Boom, big week, big weekend. Should be a fun weekend of games. We'll have a couple articles this week about Tiger Cats. I'll have an article tonight about Ed Oliver and who can Buffalo as we reinforce the defensive line with more injuries occurring there. That's the plan. Remember, check out Last Word on Sports. Check out CFLNewsHub.com. Check out UFLNewsHub.com. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe to Football Scientific. Once the high school season's done, I'll get back to more deep analysis. I saw we lost a subscriber. That's sad. It's probably because of all the predictions. But, I mean, that's this time of year. I'm pretty busy, so I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of deep analysis until after our season's done, which won't be for a few more weeks. So hopefully longer than that, but we'll see. So that's the plan. And for right now, the Football Scientific portal is closed.